So today we're going to talk about 10 things that I wish I had known before moving to Canada. One thing that everyone knows about Canada but no one speaks about, an interconnected network of underground pathway. They use like a mix of American as well as European systems. It's like, I don't know what's happening, so that was very different for me. Canada is such a lucrative country for people who want to move outside of their homes, and Canada is welcoming new immigrants pretty largely as well, as we all know. But here are some things that I wish I had known before I moved here, or I knew very late, so I was not really prepared for these new information. And I thought I should compile a list of these things which will be helpful for anyone immigrating to Canada from any part of the world. When I was moving to Canada, I was looking at the major cities because obviously there are more job opportunities and more people, more things to do. So I thought, like, let's look at bigger cities like Vancouver or Toronto, and I was also looking at Calgary for a change, but I thought that maybe the winter was too much for me, and even Toronto winters are pretty bad. But there's a good thing about moving to these bigger cities, that there are heated underground pathways. So the one in Toronto is called the Path, which is an underground shopping center pathway which connects the city downtown and helps you walk around and commute throughout downtown during the cold, harsh winter months. I have been using Paths a lot, and trust me, it is like the best savior when the wind and the snow is like unbearable. And it's not just in Toronto, there is something similar in Calgary, in Montreal, and a lot of other major cities as well. So if you are planning to move in any of these cities, and if you're thinking like, how am I going to go out and do my groceries when the winter is too harsh, you're good, because there's something that is underground, that is heated, and your commuting will be easy peasy like mine. And this was also the reason why I decided to live in downtown, because someone suggested that there is something called Path which you can use to like go around. And when I searched about it, I thought like this is the best way to live in the city without like being out in the cold. And downtown is mostly where the Path is. If you go outskirts, there isn't something like this. So downtown was my first preference to live here. There is nothing called Canadian format resume. The Canadian format resume is just the standard resume, which is in a reverse chronological order where you put in your work experience from newest to oldest. So this is like the standard resume that you use everywhere in the world, even in Australia. There is nothing that is specifically Canadian resume. And one more thing that I have noticed people using here is plain, flat, black and white resumes, which is a no-go these days. Do not use those anymore, because understand this, there are hundreds of people applying for the same job, and if hundreds of them use the same format resume, which is black and white, why would someone stop on your resume and read it? This is my resume, which I have been using from the last 3 years to get I got a job in Australia with this, I got a job in Canada with this. It has got colors, it is not plain Jane. It has got a little bit of pop-up element in it where it looks nice to see, and if you come across it, you would want to stop and read it. I've got tons of calls using this resume. I've got a lot of compliments because of this resume. HR managers have pointed out that the fact that my resume stood out from the crowd was the reason why I got noticed. My partner got a job with his resume using this one, and so plain Jane black and white resumes don't work anymore. Ditch that. And what recruiters are looking for is someone who's creative, who's communicative, who has good skills, work experience, yes, but soft skills matter a lot. How you communicate, how you talk, how confident you are, how well you can sell yourself, and what other things that you do in life that make you you. So that's what people want to know, and they also want to see how well you fit in the company's bigger environment. So if when you're giving an interview, just make sure that you are confident and you are yourself. What I realized after moving here and giving a lot of interviews is that being professional is absolutely necessary, but being yourself is equally important. And this is something that is very important while giving job interviews in Canada. I don't know if you know, but cannabis is legal in Canada. So yes, so all the people who enjoy smoking marijuana, this is the place for you, because you will find vape shops, cannabis shops everywhere. Yeah, if you're coming here, be ready to get this culture shock, because people smoke marijuana in public. It is legal, you can do it, and you will smell cannabis wherever you go, especially in downtown and a lot of other places as well, because it's like very common over here. That was a culture shock to me, because In India it's not legal, in Australia it's not legal. So if you are coming here, be ready for the culture shock, because you will get it. I got it, and it took me a while to get warmed up to the fact that smoking weed is legal. But yeah, it is something that's very new to me. It will be very new to you as well, but you'll be fine. You'll get used to it. You'll get used to the smoke. Sometimes we used to joke that our morning doesn't start until we smell the smoke of marijuana in public, and like that sounds like a morning to me now. But yeah, this is something that is very common here. You will see it. And one interesting fact, that smoking marijuana in public is legal, but you cannot drink alcohol publicly, especially in parks. You need to get permit for that. So you see me out today? Well, that is because I wanted to soak in the sun, get some vitamin D, because winter sun is very rare around here. So if you are here in Toronto and in Vancouver and maybe in Montreal as well, the sun barely comes out in winter. It's all cloudy, it's all gloomy, and it's cold. So whenever the sun comes out, even in winter days, me and other people like me are out and about to just absorb the sun, enjoy it, and taking some vitamin D and warmth. And I should mention it here that because there's no sun, seasonal depression is very common and very much existent in Canada. I think apart from Calgary, every part of Canada gets very rare winter sun. So people get depressed because there is very less vitamin D and your body does not function. You don't feel happy. It's just like a constant cycle. So this is something I thought that it's just like a made up thing, but then I realized no, it's real, because it was happening to me. I was not feeling my very best, energetic, and I was always a little lazy, didn't want to go out of the house. And then I realized what's happening to me, because I'm not like that, I'm not that person. Then I realized I had not seen the sun in about a month. So seasonal depression is actually a thing, and you should be prepared for it. And that's why I would recommend not to live in basements, because you don't get to see anything outside. Like, live in a place where you can at least see what's happening outside, see the sky, and like just like the environment and your surroundings, because staying in a basement is making that thing worse, I feel. And if you're coming to Canada, make sure you get vitamin D. I did not know this. I recently got to know about it. Like, I was reading some posts on Facebook, and that's when I got to know that we get vitamin deficiency because the sun's not out, and there is a lot of different things that happen because of the deficiency. So if you're coming in here, make sure you bring vitamin D tablets and like a mix of multivitamins, because you would need to get it there, and make sure you have it regularly. And one more thing to note, if you're coming here and you're a new immigrant coming from a different country, everything is different in Canada. Putting it in there, obviously, you know, the first point is the driving side. So people in Canada drive on the right side of the road. Then the switches are upside down. So whatever has been off for me until now is now on. So this is like so weird, because I am still not used to the fact that switches are opposite. It was so different, and I think I have never seen this anywhere else in the world. The SI system of calculation of mathematics over here is mixed up. So there are kilometers, miles, kg, pounds, ounces, liters, everything over here. So one place I saw things written in kilometer, another place I saw in miles, and then a lot of places in groceries things are in kg as well as in pounds. So it's a little weird because there's like no standard form of measurement. Just like, I don't know what's happening. So that was very different for me. Apart from that, something also that's very different and something you should be aware of is the fact that the voltage is different. So in Canada, the power source, the outlet is 110 volts. So if you're bringing an appliance that is 220 volts, it will work here, but the battery or the appliance will degrade over time. So make sure if you're bringing something in, the voltage is either variable or 110, or don't bring the stuff, because you'll end up like either short circuiting the house or just ruining your appliance. I personally sold a lot of stuff. I just got to know like a week before moving, so I sold so many things, including my Dyson. Dyson does not have variable voltage, so make sure you do. Another thing to note, if you are moving to Canada and you are going out to eat, you are taking some services, going to hotels and everything, you are expected to tip. So tipping culture is very much real in Canada, and especially in restaurants, you are expected to tip at least like 15 to 18% minimum. So it's a little different from what I'm used to in Australia and even in India. We tip only if the service is good, but over here it's like kind of an obligation. Like, people don't look up to you in a nice way if you don't tip. So tipping is kind of mandatory and expected. So yeah, if you're going out, just remember that you will shell out the extra money in tips. It had gotten too windy, so we just came back home, and let's continue here. Okay, the next thing you should definitely know if you are coming to Canada as a student or as an immigrant or just on work visa is that living in Canada is expensive. If you're moving to any of the big cities like Toronto or Vancouver, it is going to be expensive. Toronto is as expensive as Vancouver at this moment. Rents are high, grocery prices are high, maintaining a car is expensive, maintaining a decent lifestyle is expensive, and it is going to be a little hard to just manage on minimum wage and minimum working hours if you're a student. Moving to Toronto, moving to Canada is going to be costly, and you are going to spend money. So make sure you come here with like a good amount of savings if you're coming here as a student or as a immigrant. And especially if you're a student, I want to let you know that saving some money on minimum wage is going to be a little hard. I am not sure how students are going by in this kind of economy, because inflation is at its peak. Rents are like going off the roof. This is like the most expensive year Toronto has ever seen. That's what like my colleagues tell me, and this is just a little insane. So if you're coming here at this time in 2023, it is going to be a little hard to save money and pay your tuition fees with that same like minimum wage jobs, minimum working hours. So just make sure if you're coming here, you're prepared for everything. All the cost of living and everything is expensive, but one thing I want to mention is that most highways in Canada are toll free. There are some highways that are taxed with toll, and they are in Quebec, Ontario, Prince Edward Island and Nova Scotia. Everywhere else there are no toll roads, so practically the highways are free to travel around. So if you're someone who travels to work by car or just likes to travel around using a car, highways are toll free, so you won't be spending a lot of money to and fro every day commuting to work and just spending money on tolls. While we are talking about expenses, I also want to mention that if you're coming here, you need to make sure that you are prepared to pay high taxes. Income taxes are pretty high in Canada. Every province has their own tax, then there's the federal tax, so you end up paying a lot more over here in taxes. And then talking about taxes, we also have to pay the GST, which is goods and services tax. It is broken down, and the federal tax is I think 5%, and then every province have their own tax. So when you go to each province, like for example Ontario has 13% HST, which is harmonized service tax, which is like a combination of the whole federal tax and the provincial tax. And then when you move to British Columbia, the taxes are a little different. I think you pay 12%. Alberta has only federal tax, which is 5%. So every province has a different tax rate, but in general the taxing system is pretty high over here, which is understandable because you are getting services, infrastructure, people and healthcare for free, so it all sums up. But to get all of those benefits, you have to pay taxes. And lastly, one thing that everyone knows about Canada but no one speaks about, it's like an unspeakable fact about Canada, is that there is prevalent homelessness in the country. When I moved here, I was speaking to a lot of people, a lot of friends, a lot of school friends, a lot of university friends, and I just wanted to know how is life in Canada, like what are the bad things, the good things, and what's happening, what do I expect when I come here. And everyone told me a lot of things about Canada, a lot of good things, bad things, but no one talked about the fact that there is homelessness in every major city. Not even major, like a lot of small cities as well, there is a lot of homelessness. So you can see a lot of homeless people in the roads, and a lot of them are mentally affected. So it's just sad to see them, and it's there, it's in your face, and I did not know how to react to it. I was like very shocked to see this, and I felt sad about them, but also because of this homelessness, the crime rates are increasing in the major cities: Vancouver, Calgary, Toronto, Montreal, every big city that the immigrants would move to, or you would move to as a student or a PR or a worker. You will see that there's homelessness. Recently, Toronto had like a massive surge of crimes because of this problem, and it's just, I don't know how to explain. It's sad, but it's also very scary because people have been attacked. I know, like, I personally know people who have been attacked on the transit system, and the government does nothing about it. So I just wanted to put it out there that this is happening, this is there. So if when you're coming here, just be prepared about it. So these were the 10 facts about moving to Canada that you should know, and that I wish I had known before I was moving to Canada. And I hope you liked the video. Next week I'm going to tell you all about the path, what it is, how it's connected, where the entrances are from, how to navigate it, everything about it. So just make sure you keep watching my channel. If you have watched until now, click the subscribe button, and I'll see you next week. Bye bye.